Welcome to another installment of the Fragments Silicon Reviews. 4 reviews up this week, the first of which is Tinytopia. I suppose a bit of show updating, I guess for lack of a better term, is needed because we do plan on interviewing the publisher, developer, and potentially the composer of this game this Friday. So look for that, in its due time. But before we get to that, we have a review of the game. So Tinytopia is a city building management sim. It's something in the style of SimCity or Tropico, those kind of games. Though it's got its own twists, as you can see. It's like one of the primary gimmicks / selling points is everything, is being done in miniature form, like actual miniatures or actual virtual miniatures, if you will.
And what is this? A city building simulator for ants?
No, though there is one of those, Sim Ants.
I know, but the joke is about the size.
Right.
And also that Zoolander is still funny. At least parts of it are.
I'm not sure if you're playing as, I'm not sure if the populace here are miniature humans or toys that look like humans. It's never really clarified and isn't really important. Anyway, so given the graphical style here and the skewing, it's on the casual side of this particular genre, though there are degrees of casualness. This is not the first city builder we've reviewed, not even the first one of these this year, but we started out the year of reviews out with I'm not sure if the Moai games are even remembered by anyone else but me, and even that's kind of blurry. If you don't remember those were some of the ultra casual city builders. Something you would find on like Big Fish, where it's really limited and you don't have a lot of options, really shallow stuff. I will say Tinytopia is not that. Though, if you've ever played an actual SimCity game, it's gonna feel slimmed down from something like that. I'd say the biggest omission overall from the package in those regards is time. There's no real time management. Once again, if you've played a SimCity game, time management is a huge part of that game. And other city building management things on that level of complexity. Granted, even SimCity differs in levels of complexity. Like SimCity 2000 was more complex than SimCity, and I've never actually played SimCity 4. I should do that. But point is, you don't have to worry about certain things, but it is more complicated than a lot of these ultra casual city builders. You do have to keep track of some sort of economy. It's a simplified economy. Once again, you're not really worried about industry or commercial like you would be in a SimCity game. You do have to provide jobs and electricity in order to have a growing populace. That's it. There are still parameters here, but they are simplified parameters. And going along those lines, providing power, you just need to have a plant or solar panels, something that generates electricity. You don't have to worry about actually wiring up to the buildings. It's just if you're in the literal dome of influence, because this is all 3D stuff, so it's actual dome framing instead of more 2D. These things actually do matter because when you're dealing with mountains and other terrain options. But yeah, So it's somewhere in the middle in terms of like casualness. Like definitely not a hyper casual. You could find this on a mobile or casual site kind of deal, but definitely not as in depth as SimCity, or I guess the modern equivalent to that is City Skyline. Again, never actually played that one, but I do know enough about City Skyline to know, like, if you're looking for in-depth city management and building and all that stuff, that's your SimCity spiritual successor. This is definitely more casual, though its unique twist is that since this is all miniature based, its upgrades are literally stackable. Hang on. That is to say, when you want to upgrade a building to the next tier of building, for lack of a better term, like if you want to get tier 2 apartment,
you just literally put another one on top, pretty much.
It depends on the building, because some of them you have to put next to each other in front, or you have to do a combination building. Like with the tier 2 apartment, you have to put a tier 1 apartment and a tier 1 store. Some of these are more complicated than others. Building that tier 5 trailer tower was interesting, because that's when like actual physics, like you have to make sure things are stacked right. There is a tool, the auto snap, that will help you greatly with this task. And I think some of the later challenge levels will incorporate like actual, like I've seen one with a seesaw that you have to take into account. So, as far as city building goes, this is, I can say, unique. I don't think I've ever seen another one of these take into account like the actual physical properties of things, like the individual buildings, into account. I will say I absolutely fucking hated it. It's like, this is probably going to be a subjective thing, and you can turn on the auto tool to mitigate a lot of the frustration. But I did. It's like, this looked neat on paper, really frustrating in practice, because here's the thing. When I play a city builder management thing, I'm here for that. I'm not here to play Jenga, okay? I'm not here to play a puzzle game with your mini houses. Like, once again, this is a me thing. There are probably a lot of people who will find the mechanic charming, endearing, even. So on those levels, your mileage may vary. Like I said, this all gets more complicated. There are the challenge levels, which are I hesitate to use the main course, but it's definitely the emphasized. This is comparable to a scenario mode in other city management, but once again, simplified to a degree. It is in line with like get a certain amount of population with a certain amount of happiness. Once again, it does have other. You do have to keep track of some amount of happiness with your citizenry. Which, once again, this is probably going to be the thesis statement of the game. It's more complicated than casual fare, but it's still the kiddie pool in terms of like big boy city builders. And the game just reinforces that over and over again. Like, you have to keep track of taxes, and eventually in the challenge levels that will become a factor. But a lot of the early it starts you out with a tutorial, but then it keeps doing the tutorializing. That is to say, it introduces new mechanics that, once again, if you're familiar with city builders, aren't going to be too out of line here.
Interesting.
Yeah. In one of the later beginning missions, it will teach you about building roads, and also and later on building elevated roads. Is that the same one? Point is, building roads wasn't all that difficult, and in keeping with the simplicity ethos in mind, when you build a road over water, it automatically builds a bridge. Once again, that is simplifying, making it more accessible. Of course, that is also, in the inverse, maybe taking away options that a city builder would want, because once again, other games of this style, you would not only have a choice of building a bridge, but the kind of bridge. Do you want a wood bridge? Do you want a suspension bridge? That kind of thing.
Whereas this being actually in game, it's toys has simplified.
Yeah. And it also does the SimCity thing of having disasters. And it does it SimCity 2000 style. That is to say, if you have a fire going, you need to have a fire station there, and so you can put a fire truck near a fire, and it will snuff out the fire. That's how it worked in SimCity 2000. See also police. I will say, if you're familiar with SimCity, a difference between this game and that in terms of disasters is the monster. You can actually defend yourself against the monster. You have turrets.
As opposed to it just be you lose X% of your resources. Too bad for you.
Yep. So if you don't want to bother with the challenge missions, you can just go with sandbox mode, which is, build a city however you want and, manage, it's all the options unlocked, do what you want kind of deal. But once again, fairly standard for city builders, but, it's nice that you don't really have to unlock the option or anything like that. I think that covers the groundwork of the game. I guess it's worth noting that, like SimCity, in terms of its missions, some of them are made-up cities. Some of them have a very loose approximation of a famous city. Like the first real-world city you get is to Paris. And I guess that gets into back to the challenge modes, where your main goal is usually not something not directly population based. It's to unlock what they call a special building. It's a building that unlocks when you reach a certain population target. And how you approach that does differ, because like I said, the master challenge secondary option is usually reach a certain level of population with a certain amount of happiness. Or you can do like what I did on some stages and just stack in apartments where the fuck ever to just brute force the population. You can do that. Now, the problem with that is you're probably not going to have a very happy populace. And if you don't have it, and if you have an unhappy populace for too long, you will have riots. Once again, this is something I've seen in SimCity games, and like Tropico. So it's got the elements, but just not that nuanced or complicated. I know I'm saying this a lot, but this game this is what this game is. If I'm being honest here. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just, if you're looking for a deep challenge, I would say right out, go get something else, because that's not this game. This game flat out states out it's taking casual track. So anyway, the special buildings, they're in order, when you unlock a piece, you get to put it down, and you usually have to unlock 3 or 4 either pieces, or if it's a real world location, you've got to unlock 3 monuments. Like with the Paris level, it was the Arc de Triomphe, the Eiffel Tower, and I think the Louvre, if I'm remembering correctly. It really doesn't matter in terms of mechanics. That's more an aesthetical thing. It's just, your main goal is to unlock this special building by, whatever means necessary. And as far as the secondary objectives, you can either play on to unlock them or move on, maybe come back, however you want to play it. So, there is a great deal of latitude. In terms of like the actual graphics, everything's very clean, very nice looking. If for a game that's going for a toy aesthetic, I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit on the bland side. I suppose that comes with the territory, but it's not as whimsical as you'd think as something based off of toys. But once again, this is one of those subjective things. The music is very jaunty, whimsical. Reminds me of like being in a park during the day kind of deal. And let me see.
Some of the things don't even look particularly plasticky. Yeah.
Like I said, that's the thing that really just keeps taking me aback here. For a game that professes to have a lot of personality, it doesn't have a lot of personality in places. Like, anyway, getting back in terms of pricing, this game is $15, which is a good price for this game. It's definitely less like it's more than say a classic SimCity game or the first 2 Tropicos, but for a new city builder, this is very affordably priced. Like, if you want to get into city skylines, expect to spend some coin. That's not even necessarily over the base game. That's over the DLC that game has gotten over the years.
Although I believe that game also allows like community-based DLC.
Right. Yeah, it wouldn't. And I don't know what the post-game content roadmap of this game is yet. We'll probably find that out on Friday. But I do know that this game got an update as recently as October 20th, 2021, when it got a free Halloween update. It might be getting a Christmas update. I'm not like... That's kind of the level I would be expecting here. Like, I'm not expecting a like big expansion pack thing, but I could be wrong on that. Once again, that's the kind of thing we'll find out on Friday. So yeah, this game is definitely worthwhile at its price tag, and as a city builder, I'm gonna say mildly recommended overall. Once again, because once again, it's in the middle of that casual, hardcore divide, and it's really going to matter what you're looking for. If you're looking for something on the more relaxing, chill side of the equation, yeah, this is probably going to be your jam. If you're looking something in depth and something that really gets into the management side of city building and management, I'd say look elsewhere. This game is just a little too cut down to slake that particular thirst. Right, so any other questions, comments, or concerns over Tinytopia?
I think I'm good.
I already made my city builder for ants joke.
Right. All right, so that'll about do it for Tinytopia here. Be sure to tune in after the break, as Petty Fan will be tackling Tangent Rush.